What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and today we're speaking about the one, the only NAT. So it's been a couple of weeks since I last spoke about these guys, and I still get questions in nearly every single video, no matter what video it is, no matter what we're speaking about this company. And a lot has changed in my mindset towards these guys since my last video, so I feel like now is a pretty good time to make an update. And just for the record, this is my second upload of the day, so if you're giving out that I'm speaking about NAT again, go check out the video from earlier on. It was all about Altria, a massive dividend stock. Check that one out. But for now, we have to speak about NAT. And if you've watched my previous videos on these guys, you'll know that I haven't invested in them, and I didn't really plan on investing in them. But my mindset is kind of shifting towards this world where I could see myself picking up a position, and today we're going to speak all about why. We're obviously going to speak about why they're still at the price they're at, what has made that happen, and what I believe could happen to these guys going forwards. And I got a lot of subscribers from previous NAT videos, so I almost feel this weird obligation to update you guys on my thoughts on these guys every 2 or 3 weeks. So that's what today's video is all about. So if you enjoyed the video, please do me a massive favor, smash that like button. It helps me out so much. The road to 10,000 subscribers is officially on, guys. We smashed through 5,000. To even say we're on the road to 10k is insane. Of course, if you're new around here, please do subscribe. We upload every single day, twice today. And drop me a comment, let me know your thoughts on NAT. In particular, if you own a position, what your cost basis is, what your plan going forward is. Because I've seen some tragic stories and some amazing stories in my comment section before, so I want to see where you're all at now. So with that being said, guys, let's get into NAT. Let's get into what's happened, what's happening in the world of NAT, what I believe could happen. Yeah, let's just have a chat. The very first thing I want to speak about today is something that is called a short squeeze that some of you may or may not be familiar with. A short squeeze occurs when a stock or other asset jumps sharply higher, forcing traders who had bet against this price would fall to buy in order to forestall even greater losses. The scramble to buy only adds to the upward pressure of the stock's price. So what is shorting a stock, first of all, okay? So here is short selling made really simple to understand, okay? So a short seller borrows 10 shares of ABC stock. They sell 10 shares of ABC stock for $500, okay? Then the stock goes ahead and loses value. So the short seller would buy 10 shares of ABC stock for $400. So they sold them at $500 and they bought them for $400. So they made $100 per share. The short seller returns 10 shares of ABC stock and keeps $100. So you know, usually most of us long-term investors, we buy stocks and we hope that they go up in value. There's also people who bet against us. They're going to bet that the stock goes down in value. And that is essentially what short selling is. So a short squeeze occurs when we have people selling a stock, okay, and its price goes up really quickly. So these people who are betting on it going down have to buy more shares to, you know, negate any losses that they've incurred, which then makes the price go even higher again. I hope that makes sense. So now the stock is actually being pushed up in value, not only by the buyers of NAT, so the people who believe it will go up in value, but also by the sellers, because they have to buy shares to negate their losses. I'm going to try to give an example. So imagine Apple says that they're going to bring out the iPhone 12 in September, and that pushes the stock's price up initially, yeah, because a lot of people might buy it. They think the iPhone 12 is going to have a great launch. And then some news comes out, okay, that they're not actually releasing in September. And nobody knows why. They just say that it's not happening in September. So some people, you know, may become pessimistic and may decide to short that stock, to sell that stock. And then a week later, Apple comes out and says, everything's okay, the product is perfect, we are actually releasing it on time. What's going to happen is that more people are going to decide to buy in because those sellers would have pushed the market down, the bad news would have pushed the market down, and then the people who shorted the market are going to buy shares again to get out of their positions, so the market will have been pushed up high. How does this apply to NAT? If you look here for me, okay, there is currently 18,050,000 shares being sold short. What this means for me, okay, is that people still believe that there is room for this to go shorter. There is room for this stock to lose more value, which is very possible. But what happens when that happens? These people are going to buy out of their short positions, okay? It's inevitably going to happen when it gets to a very cheap price, and people who are waiting on the sidelines are then going to want to buy more shares again. So we're going to have, again, the buyers and the sellers both pushing the market price up. I know there's a lot of people who still want to buy this company. They just don't want to do it yet because who knows how much lower it could go. And I'm going to touch on that later on in the video, what I think realistically could happen in both directions. But why this is so important, why it's so important to understand how many people are shorting this company, is because as of right now, guys, NAT is in an absolutely insanely good position. Their fundamentals are pretty much better than ever before, and it really doesn't make any sense for them to be down this low. And I didn't want to like this stock. I didn't want to ever consider buying it, but from what I'm seeing, It's just very tempting. The first two things I really want to have a look at, okay, are their market cap, where it is now and where it has been in the past, and then their balance sheet, specifically their assets and liabilities. So right down here, we can see Nat has a market cap of 460.45 million as of right now. And right now, Nat is undoubtedly in one of the best positions it ever has been in. And we can see that plenty of times through history, they've had a much higher market cap. Plenty of times. Here. There's times it's been above, what, 1.2 billion, up as high as nearly 1.5 billion. So the market cap we're at right now doesn't even say that we're in a very good position. Let's just have a look here, okay? The biggest they had was back towards the end of 2010, okay? What was their price towards the end of 2010? They were hovering around 25, 26, even up towards the $30 mark. That was at a market cap of 1.51 billion, okay? So right now, we're at a market cap that's what, about 2.5 times lower than that, essentially. And we're only trading at about $4. The numbers don't really add up. Nat would appear to be relatively undervalued. Let's have a look here. Mid 2015 to mid 2016-ish. They were around at $13, as low as 11, up as high as 15-ish. And that was at a market cap, you know, anywhere from kind of 1.3 all the way down to 1 billion. Right now they're at 640 million and only at 432 a share. Again, the numbers don't really add up. So right off the bat, the market cap to an extent is telling me that we are somewhat undervalued. Then we have a look at the balance sheet, okay? Current assets, 149 million. Total assets, just over a billion, okay? Current liabilities, where are we? 78.7 million, okay? So great position to be in. And then total liabilities, 434 million. So again, balance sheet is absolutely fantastic. And let's go back to the end of 2015 when we were looking at, you know, the market cap of, let's just say, 1.3 billion. So if we go back to December 2015 here, when that was about a 1.3 billion dollar market cap. So let's just say twice as big as they are now. Total cash and short-term investments was only about 30 million compared to our current 64.4 million, okay? Total current assets, 118 million compared to 149 million. So Nat right now are doing fantastic with the money they're bringing in. And I'm going to show you just how much money they still are bringing in right after this. Now, we go to total assets. They had, you know, they had more, about 200 million more. We go to current liabilities. That was only at 20.9 million compared to our 78.7. But again, they're making a lot of money right now. This number is going to easily come down. And then our total liabilities was 358 million to 434 million. So, you know, not the biggest difference in the world. Aside from the fact that Nat was literally about 350 to 400% more expensive than it is now. So when we just have a look at the numbers, to me, this price of about 430 just looks so cheap. We have a look at Nat's Q1 earnings. Now keep in mind that Q2 is expected to be considerably better than Q1, okay? Our net profit for the first quarter of 2020 improved from last quarter and came in at 39.5 million against a net profit of 12.7 million for the first quarter of 2019. Sorry, the fourth quarter of 2019. EBITDA for the first quarter of 2020 in that was 64.9 million, a 72% increase from the previous quarter. Now this here is really important, okay? The average time charter equivalent achieved for the first quarter of 2020 across our fleet was $44,100 per day per ship, up almost 40% from $31,700 per day per ship in the previous quarter. So far in the second quarter of 2020, about 75% of the trading days of our fleet have been booked at an average TCE of about $50,000 per day per ship. Their operating costs are only about $8,000 per day per ship. So about 75% of the trading days are already booked for this quarter at about $50,000 per day per ship. Now we're looking at the tanker market index, okay? And what's important here is we look at the Suezmax vessels, okay? Because this is what Nat uses. So the tanker rates for last week were at 70.6 thousand per day. For this week, they're currently at 45,000 per day. So what we're seeing is, if we go look back up here as well, these rates are dropping off. So what's important is that we know for a fact about 75% of the trading days for Nat's fleet are chartered out already at $50,000 a day. So if this downtrend, you know, of how much these tankers are going to be able to charge on a daily basis continues to go down, Nat's still in a good position at least going into quarter two. So for me, when I look at Nat practically, and when I look at how they're performing now, and where their share price is currently at, and how much it has declined as of late, it just doesn't add up to me. They're down over 50% from the very brief highs of $9 a share. And since then, the news that has came out in relation to these guys has only been good. It's only been positive. These guys are only in a better position than they were back here when they briefly hit that $9. So in a month that has shown good promising news for Nat, that has painted them in quite a good light, for them to have gone down over 50%, it just doesn't make sense. I don't want to like these guys, okay? I don't want to consider buying them, but how can I not? Here's some numbers that I think we could expect to see going forwards. So you may be aware that from pretty much 2018 all the way into 2019, they were trading at around, let's just say $2 a share. Anywhere from even as low as $1.60, $1.70 a share, up as high as $3 a share. But let's just say about $2 to $2.50 for the most part. If we even go back to this time last year, they were at $2 a share. I really do believe that there is going to most certainly be another spike in the upwards direction for Nat. But I also see a world where I could definitely see this company dropping below $4, approaching $3.50, approaching $3. And what's quite scary to me is that I believe if we get down anywhere below $3.50 and we don't see a very fast reversal, I think it could be very elongated, and by the time that the price starts to go back up, you know, a lot of the good news could be dying off. So say, for example, I was able to buy these guys at $4. I could very realistically see a world where these guys go down to $2.50 to $3, and you know what? Don't even recover. I would see the max risk buying these guys at $4 being about 25 to 37.5%. And when we're speaking of a price point that I think they could realistically get to within the next 3 to 6 months, I think it makes sense for them to go past $10, to even approach $15. But I'm not very confident in that happening, just based off the world that we're living in now, all of the uncertainty in the market. If we are to see a move upwards, this is the big question, if we are to see a move upwards, I would very realistically see these guys, their lows being $6 to $7, which is offering a return of 50 to 75%. And now is obviously a very good time to remind everybody that I am not a financial advisor, and these are just completely and utterly my own thoughts, my own views. As far as spec stocks go, something that I've stayed away from for a long time, I think these guys are more than a spec stock. I believe that they were heavily pumped and dumped. I very much so do. I also believe that they're being short squeezed. I believe there is just so much manipulation around this stock at the moment. That's why it's so hard for me to form an opinion on what I actually think is going to happen, because I just think that their price is being completely and utterly manipulated all over the place. And what is a difficult thing for me is that I wouldn't want to buy a small position in a company like Nat. You know, if you're playing a play where you expect to lose 25 to 40% or gain 50 to 100%, there's not really much point in making a small play. It kind of has to be a big play, you know? I just don't know if I'm willing to throw in a decent amount of money at these guys yet. What I will say is, if these guys fall below $4 a share in the next week or so, I will be keeping such a close eye on them. What I will also say is, I expect the next upward movement to be very, very quick, a matter of a few days. And then after that quick upward movement, I don't know what I expect to happen next. I could see a few things happening. I could either see the reversal happen, as we saw here, you know, we see up and down, we see up, we see down. We could see that forever and ever. Or we could see it finally get to a price where the market thinks it's fair and trades somewhat sideways. Or they could do what everybody really wants them to do and just boom back to the moon. $9, $10, up as high as 15. So in short, I am not buying them at this price. I do think it's a decent price. The risk to reward ratio is still quite good, but if they fall somewhere between 4 and 350, I'm going to be a confident buyer. But what I will make very clear is that I'm going to have set out in stone an exit plan, both for if I lose and if I win. I think that's very important with a company like Nat, especially for the lose side of things. Because as much as I see a world where these guys do fantastically and they finally get, you know, the price up that they deserve for what they've done, I very well see a world where they could just continue to go down. They could fall back to that 2 and even below 2, and it could be another couple of years before we see the next upward movement. But that is where I stand with Nat as of today. But just one more time, I want to make it abundantly clear that I am not a financial advisor, and especially when it comes to a stock like Nat, your money is very much so at risk. So please don't buy because of this video or because of any other video on YouTube right now, because there's still a lot of people making videos on that, and genuinely anything can happen with these guys. If you cannot afford to lose money, please don't put it into the market. Don't put it into any company. You know, you need that money, you need that money. But yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't looked at Nat really the last week and a half, 2 weeks whatsoever. I just completely forgot they existed. And then I started looking into them again, and I thought, we need to make an update video. So guys, I hope you did enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the double upload. If you watched both videos today, you are a true legend. I appreciate you so much. Please like the video if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe if you're new around here. Drop me a comment and let me know your thoughts on that down below. Hope you all have a fantastic day. I will catch you for tomorrow's video. Peace.